All right, let's talk about something that could seriously change how we all build things with AI. We're going to dive into a new way of thinking about prompts, moving them out of those messy text files and into the world of professional, honest-to-goodness software engineering.
So let's be real for a second. Does your prompt workflow look a little chaotic? You've got dozens of text files, you're constantly copying and pasting bits and pieces, and trying to remember which version actually worked? Yeah, you're not alone. That's kind of the default way of doing things, but it's really holding us back from building truly solid AI applications. And this visual says it all, doesn't it? On the left, that's the mess we were just talking about. It's a jumble of instructions you can't tell where one part ends and the next begins. But on the right, that's the goal. It's clean, it's organized into these logical blocks like goal, inputs, and outputs. This is how you turn a craft into an actual engineering discipline.
So, how do we get from that chaos on the left to that beautiful structure on the right? Well, that's where our focus for today comes in. It's a new philosophy and toolset called ProML, which stands for Prompt Markup Language.
Now, ProML isn't just another syntax for writing prompts. It's way more than that. It's a complete system. It's a structured language, yeah? But it comes with a full toolchain. We're talking linters, formatters, automated testing, the whole shebang. It's really designed to treat prompts with the same seriousness and rigor that we give to professional code.
At the heart of ProML is this core idea: be declarative first. What does that mean? Well, instead of giving the AI a super rigid step-by-step recipe for how to think, you just clearly define the goal and the rules. You describe what you want. This is huge because as AI models get smarter, they can figure out better ways to get to that goal on their own, making your prompts way more robust and future-proof.
Okay, so the philosophy is cool, but how does this actually help us day to day? Let's get into the practical side of how ProML helps us build AI outputs that are predictable, reliable, and high quality every single time.
One of the biggest headaches with AI? Getting it to give you consistently formatted output. ProML tackles this with something called strict I/O. So as you see here, you can define a precise schema, like this JSON object, and the model's output has to follow it. No more guessing, no more praying for the right format. This makes the AI's response reliable enough to plug directly into your other applications. It's a game changer.
So getting the right structure, the right shape, is a massive win. But what about the actual stuff inside that structure? How do we make sure the output isn't just valid JSON, but that it's also, correct?
And the answer to that is assertions. You can think of these as little rules or quality checks that you bake right into the prompt. For example, you could write an assertion that makes sure a generated summary is always shorter than the source text, or that a list of items doesn't contain any duplicates. This lets you enforce critical business logic right at the source.
And this is where it all comes together. Because prompts are now treated like code, we can plug them into the same automated pipelines that software developers have been using for decades. The ProML tools let you automate everything, checking for style, running tests to make sure things work, scanning for security issues, and then finally, packaging and deploying your prompt just like any other piece of software.
This is where things get really, really powerful. Once you can trust a single prompt, the next big challenge is managing dozens or maybe even hundreds of them. So let's look at how ProML helps us scale this whole process just like we do with traditional software.
Just think about something you probably repeat all the time, like your company's brand voice. With ProML, you can define that style guide, the tone, the personality, specific phrasing in one single reusable file.
And then, in any other prompt you write, you just import it. That's it. It's the classic don't repeat yourself principle in action. If your brand guidelines ever change, you update it in that one file and boom, the change is reflected everywhere. It's unbelievably efficient.
ProML also lets you chain prompts together to create complex workflows, which they call pipelines. A perfect example is this reflect and revise pattern. The first prompt generates a draft. A second prompt acts as a critic, finding flaws in that draft, and then a third prompt revises the draft based on that critique. It's like teaching the AI to think, review, and improve its own work, which leads to way higher quality results.
And just like any other professional software library, prompts get version numbers like v1.2.0. This is so important because it means you can depend on a specific version of a prompt in your application, and you know it won't suddenly change and break everything. It provides the stability you absolutely need to build complex systems.
So, when you put all these pieces together, the structure, the testing, the modularity, the versioning, what does it all add up to? What does this mean for the future of building with AI?
Let's just recap the key takeaways here. First, the big shift is treating prompts as code, applying all that engineering discipline we've learned over the years. Second, doing this gives us reliability at scale because we can guarantee quality with things like schemas and tests. And finally, all of this enables us to build much safer, more maintainable AI systems using modules, pipelines, and proper governance. And really, that brings us to the final thought I want to leave you with. As AI gets woven into pretty much everything we build, our prompts are, for all intents and purposes, the source code for this next generation of software. So the real question is, isn't it about time we started treating them that way?